I don't know what to say to set you off. I figure you would. I mean, you went off on Berserk earlier.
Oh, so what? You want me to talk about something right now?
Yeah.
All right, well then, what's the subject? Give me a subject matter and I will go off on it.
A subject matter. Any subject matter.
Okay, fine. Let me think. I
You're
guess.
challenging me? I'm gonna say Demon Souls.
All right. Well, then I could try Demon Souls, but that one's a bit more of a touchy subject. I know Demon Souls mostly like the back of my hand back when I actually fucking played it, but right now, I don't quite know
It's been
Demon
a
Souls.
while.
Yeah, it's been a while, like 6 years, I think. I mean, Demon Souls is a pretty old game, but mind you, I'd like to say right off the bat that I guess, yeah, all right, you give me an idea. Let me start with the entire concept of what my friends and I call the fucking A team for Demon Souls and Dark Souls, and the B team for Dark Souls 2. Yeah, I mean, I've told this a few times to a few people, but I'm pretty sure now, since it's being recorded,
A wider audience.
yeah, much wider audience, like 7 people instead of 2. Yay! All right, cool. Anyway, thumbs up. Let's get going on this one then. So here's the point. This entire thing, this whole deal about A team and B team, Demon Souls, and Dark Souls 2. A team is anyone or anything project made by Miyazaki. I don't actually know his first name because, so sue me. I'm a guy, I live in Alaska. I don't fucking know these things. I don't actually have a personal brain space dedicated to names. I know Miyazaki for Demon Souls and Dark Souls. Love that man. And I know Miyazaki for... Yeah.
Who is,
I know,
movies.
I know that Miyazaki, the woman who did Princess Mononoke and Spirit of the Way, and I also love that man. But anyway, so the point is that with Demon Souls, they were making that game. They were making Demon Souls as a PlayStation exclusive. I don't know why. I don't personally care to know why. It's probably a business deal, and it's done by Japan Studio, which, as far as I know, is solely PlayStation. I think it's a PlayStation-owned company. I really should learn my stuff before I start talking, really. I mean, honestly, this is just all opinionated, I guess. I mean, if you don't like my opinion... Yeah, if you don't like my opinion, then you have your own, and have fun with yours. I have fun with mine. That's why I do these things. So anyway, the whole point is that they were making an exclusive for PlayStation. This exclusive, I don't know what they were thinking, but they wanted to make one. And Miyazaki was just like, I'm going to make a game. And he did. He set out to make Demon Souls. I don't know any thought process, any concept behind it, but I do know for a fact that there was this quote-unquote quality control that was inflicted upon Demon Souls. This quality control was by some higher-up guy in Japan Studio or PlayStation. I don't know which. Trust me, I don't hardly know, but this makes sense to me because opinions in business can wreck great ideas. This man played Demon Souls and openly stated that he apologized for the quality of some games that would be coming out from their company for PlayStation, but that they need to have exclusives for PlayStation. He apologized for it. This game he was apologizing for was Demon Souls, a game that got like 90 across the fucking board! And he apologized for it, saying that it wasn't living up to their standards. And he also, I believe, now, don't quote me on this, you could just take this as a satire if anything, but said it was the worst game he'd ever played in his life. Demon Souls, a game that people still hold to their heart. Hell, it's probably part of my heart right now. See? There it is. It just takes up a chunk right there. So the point is that from there, it's like right next to DBZ, by the way. Moving on! So, from that point, we move on, and he makes Dark Souls. To me, it feels like he almost made Dark Souls to say, you think my game's a bad idea? Well, here, let me show you what my country Texan accent from Japan suddenly does. And made some kind of... That was incredibly racist, I apologize. And then makes a game called Dark Souls, which is the exact same game. If you remember the E3 trailer from back when, I don't even remember the date, probably 2010, probably, where they used the Maiden in Black so the world might be mended mini speech to advertise Dark Souls. This, to me, personally, meant it was going to be a sequel to Demon Souls. I was amped. I was hyped. I was like, all aboard the hype train! Play Darude Sandstorm at super fucking, like, Nightcore speed. Get me on a train with the Skullgirls. Let's move it! And that's not the case. It was an entirely different game with an entirely different story, but Miyazaki did state previously that he never wanted a sequel to Demon Souls, and he never wanted a sequel to Dark Souls. I wonder the fuck why. I mean, now you look at Dark Souls 2 and it's not even quite the same. It's not the same thing. So, Reason why Dark Souls 2 is not the same thing, just to drop a bomb on you guys, Miyazaki wasn't part of it. It was some guy from Monster Hunter. Woohoo! Actually, I love Monster Hunter, big fan. And a guy from Armored Core. Don't remember which Armored Core, but woohoo! Yeah, Armored Core, big fan. You put them together, and what do you get? Dark Souls 2, pretty big disappointment. Reason why, it has 2 in the title. Dark Souls to start, 2. Dark Souls 2, put those two together. You don't get a good game. Reason why, no sequel has truly ever lived up to the original in all aspects, just as every original has never lived up to a sequel in all aspects. I say this because Dark Souls 2 was a great improvement from Dark Souls 1 in netcode. Maybe the animations too. But, Demon Souls had some pretty good animations. Animations that to this day I think look better than Dark Souls 2. And Dark Souls 2 had those DLCs that happened. Yeah, sure, they're great, but there's a blue smelter demon sword.
That actually looks really cool.
Who wanted a blue smelter demon sword? It's the smelter demon sword, but blue. It's DLC. It's smelter demon sword, but blue. And it does sorcery damage. So yeah, cool, that's fine. But the truth is, if you want me to just shamelessly drop someone's name, go look at Only Afro. He has a video about shooting people with dual Dorito swords. That's pretty much what they all are to me now. I can no longer see either of those two swords without red and blue Doritos being thrown around everywhere with, no scopes and wombo combo being thrown around. And don't forget the sound effect that Call of Duty has for shooting somebody. So moving on. What I was originally going to say about all this is that Miyazaki made Dark Souls almost as, to me personally, you, Japan studio, my game is a good idea, and I know what I'm doing, so here you go. This is Dark Souls, a game made pretty much by me and a company that doesn't really know what they're doing, and not my original Demon Souls team, yet it's still really good. In fact, Demon Souls and Dark Souls are the exact same story. Literally the exact same story with a lot of little mini differences that do make it an entirely different setting, different characters, all kinds of stuff. In Demon Souls, you have Otstrava of Boletaria, and then you look at Dark Souls and you have Knight Solaire. I'm not gonna lie, I like Otstrava. He's truly a wonderful man. I would bro fist him, but Solaire, I'd make him my wife. That man. Praise the sun indeed. Anyway, so I love Solaire. I feel like Otstrava might be a little bit more of a human. But Solaire is definitely a much more fun character. Otstrava gives you useful hints, and is a pansy despite having an incredible sword and shield. Seriously, if you get his sword and shield, it's like, well, why weren't you better than this? You get Solaire stuff and you're like, my god, he truly was the sun, and you just salute him as he fades away into nothingness. Because in order to get his stuff, you have to kill him, you heartless son of a bitch! Anyway.
We didn't have much of a choice.
Oh no, you had plenty of choice. You can always choose to not kill Solaire. But moving on, the point is, going from Demon Souls to Dark Souls, immediately, I don't remember when this was, whether it was before Dark Souls release or after Dark Souls release, but the man who originally had stated that Demon Souls was not up to the PlayStation standard of gaming, the Japan studio, I believe that's what he said, is that he apologized openly and stated that stopping any productions on the Demon Souls brand name or the Demon Souls line of gaming was one of the most ignorant, I don't believe he said ignorant, but it was pretty much one of his least intelligent ideas he had ever had. And I did forget to mention that in Demon Souls, there is a pillar that's stated like a world of giants or something. A world of giants? What the hell was Dark Souls? But it's a world of giants that is a broken pillar, and they state that, I think in Demon Souls they hint at the world still being a thing, but that the pillar needs to be fixed for you to travel there. This gave everyone these huge hopes of like, oh my god, DLC, Miyazaki, you do love us! And then it doesn't happen. But I don't think anyone who wanted this to happen really knew that they had stopped all production on Demon Souls, because that man, I don't know which one, but I'm pointing at you, you know who you are, said that it was one of the worst games he ever played and stopped all production, meaning that DLC could not happen because it was turned off. It's literally like taking a team of people just sitting on their computers, typing away and making some huge code or doing whatever the fuck programmers do, and then something just takes the fuse box and goes... Yeah. About that DLC you were making? Hope you hit the save file button, because that's called a power outage. So moving on. Then Dark Souls 2 happens. Now, I'm not going to lie, I was hyped for it, but seeing the trailers, I'm pretty sure a lot of people were worried about difficulty. A lot of people were worried about the continuity. A lot of people were worried about it being a spiritual sequel, as in Dark Souls 2 in the land of Kabada
Wherever the fuck.
Chuzama Dumala. I don't know. I don't know how to speak that. I probably said something in Moose. But
Hey,
moving on.
you'd be the one who'd know how to speak it, Alaskan.
No, that's incredibly racist. I'm white. So moving on. Dark Souls 2 was advertised, and I think anyone who liked Dark Souls really wanted a piece of that pie. They're just like, is this going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Some people didn't care. Some people really cared. Some people blew up, like me, and some people didn't, like me, depending on which time frame you take. I mean, early and late, you take your pick. But what I was mostly worried about is that they would cater to the fan base who does not as much enjoy the difficulty. Now, I'm not against this, but there is this thing called, at least I call it, repetitive. And I don't mean that in terms of video games being repetitive. I play Dynasty Warriors because I find it to be a really fun, brain-melting experience. Whether or not anybody else likes it is up to them, and it's up in the air. And people who do like Dynasty Warriors, I will normally give them a high five, just because I find those games fun. You don't have to, because I can see why people don't like it. In Dark Souls 2, I could see what I liked about Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls being that overwhelming feeling, those endorphins, that dopamine being dumped directly into the pleasure sensor of your brain when you finally beat the goddamn Capra Demon and fucking dogs! Anyway. But when you finally beat a boss in Demon Souls or Dark Souls, you feel elated. You're like, yeah! You know, that whole thing, yata, and whatever the hell language you speak. You feel like you did something. You feel like you overcame some grand challenge that's been ailing you this whole time. And for those of us who really tried to do it, and once you got good at it, too, you could beat them with your hands tied behind your back. And you could run the entire game at level 1, both in Demon Souls and in Dark Souls. You could play the entire game without getting anything. You could play the whole game with your fists. I'm not entirely positive on that one with Demon Souls, but I do know that in Dark
Demon Souls was easier to play a soul level 1 run.
In Demon Souls? I don't know, maybe, but in Dark Souls I can tell you that I beat the entire game as a one bro with my fists, because why?
Because you could.
I felt like it. Yeah, I could. I was like, screw pyromancy. Your fiery ways are not part of my repertoire of fighting skills. What about this sword, sire? Fuck your sword, ye bitch. I wish to punch things to death. But sire, at least you take your armor. Nay, I say, I am level 1, but I am a sir and made of beef jerky. I will fight with my fists of yanked meat. Sir, please restate that. Never! And so I beat the game as a level 1. Never again will I try to do that, especially with my fists. But it was fun. I set a challenge for myself, me, the player!
And you conquered it.
I did it! I was able to do a challenge that I set for myself in Dark Souls, and beat it! You could do this in Dark Souls 2, but this is my #1 gripe with the actual released version. It's not the difficulty, it's fair enough hard. It's not the animations, they're pretty good. It's not the graphics, I don't care. I still think Demon Souls looks the best out of any of the Souls games, but that's just me. It looks stylized and it's not so hopeless feeling. I mean, that's just the theme, but you know. And it's not the characters. I mean, what characters in Dark Souls 2? There's no characters in Dark Souls 2, seriously. I can't state this enough. I don't think that there are any real redeeming characters. That we don't have Siegmeyer in Dark Souls 2. Not like I want them to actually take the Onion Knight that I love and hold so dear from Dark Souls and just plop them into Dark Souls 2 and say, hey guys, look, it's Siegmeyer. Look at this little Siegmeyer here. He's just like the Siegmeyer from that one, but he's here. So why don't you say hello? I don't want that. I want characters that fit, that I love. The only character in this entire game that I like is a character that doesn't say words. He walks around as a husk of beef jerky with a giant sword. I'm talking about the king. I love the king. He sounds like an awesome dude, and I would love to meet him. Too bad you can only do that in the DLC, and I don't even know what he says, because I haven't played the DLC enough to even have him say, oh, hey, how's it going, Chosen Undead?
I know the answer, if you want to know.
This is my rant. Shush.
I know, I'm just saying. Later.
No. Shh. So, I don't know what happens there. I don't understand what happens there. But I can say this wholeheartedly. There are no Solaires, and there are no Ostravas to me in Dark Souls 2. I could be forgetting somebody. I mean, I love the Emerald Herald, but it really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, feels like they're just trying to ride on the love everyone had for the Maiden in Black. Really,
It really kind of is.
she is a character. She has her place in the world. She does have a story, but she really is just the Maiden in Black and adorable. I mean, let's get this straight across. She is quite possibly one of the most adorable full-grown women I've ever seen in my life. Maiden in Black, I don't know. Her age is varied, but the Emerald Herald, she's probably in her 20s.
Oh, that
Still
was
love
a
her.
bad idea. I may be dead. I'm dead. We need to group.
Cool.
That was bad. Oh well.
Maybe I'll group with Solaire and Ostrava next time.
Fuck yeah, man.
So anyway, the point is that I cannot, for the life of me, stand what they have done to Dark Souls. I don't think Dark Souls 2 is a bad game, but I think because they attached a 2 to it and didn't make it something like Lords of the Fallen, if they didn't make it a Dark Souls game, it would probably have been a great one, and no one would have any real complaints to it. But one, it feels like they rode the Dark Souls train, or at least Namco Bandai did. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I love Namco Bandai. I mean, aside from all the fan service
fuck.
and the
Oh, well, at
breaking
least we have the
armor
time.
and the jiggly bouncy bajumbly bawambas and junga dunga bums, I do love my Soul Calibur, and I do really love my Tekken, and I do really, really, really want to play a Super Robot Wars game, like really bad. I mean, you have no idea. I really, really love my tactics RPGs, and I want to play one of those really bad. And I don't have to do it on a console, so Namco Bandai. Moving on. So the point is that here's the thing. All right, you ready for this? Dark Souls 2 does a few things that Dark Souls and Demon Souls did not do.
Nope,
Number
that
one,
Tower Falls. Okay.
I don't care how mad, how salty, how infuriated you get at somebody coming into your world at level 20 when you're just entering the wee little belfry with your little longsword and your suddenly accent that I guess I'm going to put on this. It's offensive. I apologize if anybody's offended by this, but it's me talking. I'm spastic. I apologize. I'm probably a little autistic, but I have to get my point across. Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. I don't. Moving on. If you get butthurt about some guy coming into your world with a +5 dark sword, the Chaos Dark Sword, with full Dark Wraith armor maxed out, and you can't even hurt them, and they walk at you like they're, yeah, look at me, MLG, just like start playing no scope and shit, just, oh! And they kill you in one hit, roll with it. Doesn't matter that you lost 50 billion souls just up the stairs, an inch from where they killed you. Why? Because that's the only thing you lost. That is, all the way, aside from if you were alive, the only thing you have lost is those souls, which are replenishable, replaceable, and you can get them back with time. What does Dark Souls 2 do differently than this? I'll give you 5 seconds. Fuck the 5 seconds. Soul memory! If someone tried to do that in Dark Souls 2, you would be royally screwed right up the ace! You'd be dead! Dead! Doomed! To quote Invader Zim, I guess, because that teacher came to mind when I was doing that. I'm actually doing a lot of hand motions and facial expressions, but no one can see this because I don't know if it'd be embarrassing for me, but it'd probably be embarrassing for any of you if you were watching me do this. So, what did they do with soul memory? Why is soul memory, to me, just a ragingly terrible idea? Now, let's just go aside because, spoiler alert, that Dark Wraith was me! I'm the one who does that. I love doing that. Why? Why do I like doing that? I worked my ass off so hard. I actually was pulling my hair out like, how the hell can I do a one bro run against the 4 kings, but when I actually have a weapon, I can't beat them? And all I wanted to beat them for wasn't to go to New Game Plus. It was so I could get my +5 Chaos Dark Sword, go back to the Bell Tower at level 20, and wreck new guys. Why? Because it was funny to me. I met one of my currently best Dark Souls friends ever by doing that. Because he came at me, and he had full of avarice and a full set of just the coolest armor. I think it was the Jester. I forget his name. It was Chester. Yeah, I think it was Chester's armor set. But he had the symbol of avarice on, and he came at me as a barrel. And I was like, all right. I unequipped all my armor, and I was just like, you're cool. and he didn't kill me. He jumped off the edge. Now, I'm pretty sure he could have. Because he's probably better than me at Dark Souls. Now, here's the thing. I had the option to go back to the bell tower and invade low-level players. It adds to Dark Souls. People say all the time, and I agree, that opinions are important, but not if your opinion is shit. I don't mean your opinion is actually bad. Trust me, I've heard some bad opinions, but I do not believe that any one opinion is the worst I've ever heard. I save that for the worst opinion I'll ever hear. The truth is, everyone believes something, but I personally believe, and I think a large chunk of Dark Souls community may believe as well, that being able to be invaded by somebody who's twinked out, decked out, and just like an unstoppable force to you adds to the game. I do.
It really does, because it's
when I get invaded by some guy named 420 Swag Blaze It Green Blossom bullshit Estus drink lol whatever the hell name is huge with don't forget the 20 X's on either side.
Yeah.
And he invades me, and I can't hurt the bastard, but I outsmart him to where I can get to the boss without him being a problem. I run from him and find a way around. Or, alternately, lucky have it, if I can kill him in one-on-one combat, or, hell, I outsmart him and kick him off an edge or something. That would make me be like, ha-ha, bye-bye, see ya, that armor's too heavy, gravity sucks.
Gravity does
But
suck.
if he kills me, it's like, okay, cool, he came in, one-shot at me, I have to restart from, what, like 10 minutes ago? Alright, whatever, doesn't matter. Or 5 minutes ago, maybe a minute ago, maybe if you know a shortcut, it's even less. The point stands, there are ways around people like that. But Dark Souls 2 took what everyone was saying, because, lo and behold, companies do listen to their people, but they don't listen quickly. It's not one of those things where it's like, Capcom, bring Monster Hunter over to the US, please. Yeah, sure. They know we want that. They know everyone who likes Monster Hunter is like, yo, what the fuck? Get it over here. Like now, on my plate. I want to eat that. I want to give you a rating 5 stars on Yelp. The point is, they have to have good reason, and they have to, as a business, know that people will buy it. Dark Souls 1 had so many complaints about the fact that people could go back and beat the shit out of somebody with high-level equipment when you're just starting, but that is part of the Dark Souls experience. What the hell would happen if only somebody low-level could invade somebody low-level? Then it's a pure level of skill, and you get your ass handed to you anyway! Especially if they made a new character and exploited some low-level bug. I'm talking about you, Dagger! The normal dagger in low level, get that thing to +5. I guarantee you if you get that thing to +5 or hell, +3 even, go back to the Forest of the Giants and invade somebody with that first cracked red eye orb you get. I guarantee you anybody who's smart enough to do that will kill you very easily by exploiting all the undead around you and then backstabbing you. I can guarantee. Why? It happened to me. But that guy was named Low-Level Rude Dude. And he came in, backstabbed me, and I was like, wow, he lived up to his name. He really was a rude dude. He's also one of my friends now. See what I'm saying? People who come at me with this high-level shit, I have 2 reactions. 1, oh, damn, I'm dead. Or 2, wow, that was pretty cool. Hey, sir, how did you handle this situation with me? I thought it was quite humorous. Yes, sir, I thought it was quite humorous as well. How's about we engage in jolly conversation? Perhaps some cooperation too, sir? Indubitably, sir. Absolutely. High five, we move on our fucking day. It's a video game. It's not going to wreck your life. It's not like, the edge is cutting through my soul. No! It's Dark Souls. The game is meant to be hard. If players can't be hard asses to you, if players can't come at you and beat the ever-living hell out of you because they've gotten farther than you,
by skill,
how the hell are you supposed to see somebody come into your world and then you be scared? How can you be scared of somebody coming into your world and threatening to end all your progress if they are forced to be around your power level? If they come in with 1,000,000 soul level and you have 900,000 soul level, I guarantee you the difference is going to be minuscule enough that you'll wreck them. The only difference now is if they have hexes or not.
Oh,
That's pretty much
hexes.
it. if they have hexes, you're still fucked. No matter how far you get in Dark Souls 2. No matter how strong you are in Dark Souls 2, if you don't build dark defense or get good scrub, you will die to hexes. I can guarantee you more people have died to hexes that don't know what hexes are or what dark defense is, and still don't, mind you, than anything else in any other Souls game. I'm not saying they're bad. I have partaken in the hexing. I have also considered myself yeah, I have also considered myself an asshole for it. But the truth is, hexing doesn't make a good player. It's just a really funny, to me, I find it humorous to come into a world and someone be like, all right, shuffling their feet, they got their hands ready, their palms are sweaty, mom's spaghetti, whatever the hell. They're ready to fucking go, they got their dragon armor, their shield, their sword, they've got twinked out gear, and I'm just, ding ding, okay, well, next soul to kill. And that's it! I just shake a little bell and I win. I think it's really funny. I actually enjoy that. Now, him on the other end can be two ways. Oh, shit. Well, hexer. Oh, well. Or ultimately, fucking hexing noob fag! God damn it! Go kill yourself! Your mom has cancer and I'm glad! Okay, wow, that's rude. I just walk into a world and shake a bell at you and you die. I think if I locked at you...
Which is kind of OP.
Yeah, like if I walk at you in real life and shake a bell at you, are you going to suffer from PTSD of me killing you with a bell and be like, no, and like try to actually stab me? Because that'll send you to prison, not me. The point is that when you look at Dark Souls 2, I realize this rant has just gone from one subject of how Demon Souls and Dark Souls are Team A, and Dark Souls 2 is Team B. Here's the thing, Team B has a bunch of things they've done wrong with Dark Souls. And I'm not saying this, like, opinionated. Here's something they did wrong. Pivoting enemies! What the hell? Whoa! Hold on! What? In Dark Souls 1, the only pivot that happened on any enemy was before the strike. And if you tell me that Dark Souls 2 had to do that for any reason, literally, if you say Dark Souls 2 had to have pivoting enemies for any reason, I actually physically can't do anything to you, but metaphorically, I will kick you. Metaphorically, I will not do anything but have a very angry conversation with you and state this exact thing. No, they fucking don't. They do not have to have pivoting enemies. Why? Because look at Dark Souls 1. The normal hollows don't pivot. Yeah, Demon Souls 2. No enemy in either of those games pivot.
Makes backstabs really easy to land.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Normal hollows. I call them Dreglings because I find that name more fun, even though it's from Demon Souls. Normal hollows can kill you at any point in the game. At all. Why? I don't know why. It depends on the player. But for me, it was always underestimating the flailing bullshit, the retard rage, the oh god, that hits like 80 times. All right, well, I guess I'm just gonna die here today.
Nice.
It's that. And the fact is that they swing wide. They swing everywhere. You gotta circle them. What happens in Dark Souls 2 with the same type of enemy? Now, granted, I don't think there's any enemy in Dark Souls 2 that's worthy of having that flail, but yeah, they do have the flail, and they don't pivot with it. My experience with Dark Souls 2 was this. Oh, look, one of those hollow bastards. Oh, look, he's flailing. Backstab, cool. Walking around. Oh, look, another one of them. Oh, look, he's swinging a sword. I go to walk around him. Whoa, I've been hit. What? And then I walk around him again. Okay, let me just not backstab. And I kill him in 2 hits. And I'm like, I just took 2 hits because this guy was smart enough to turn and face me. All right, cool. I thought that was the case. But no, he doesn't have an animation. It's not part of the attack. You physically can't not have them aim at you. You physically can't not have them actually hit you if you're circling them. There's quite a few enemies that do this. Actually, I think most of them do. But if you look at any enemy in Dark Souls and Demon Souls, I can guarantee you that if there is one that actually pivots, they pivot before their attack is gonna hit you, except for the lances, I think. There's a few enemies, I'm sure. I mean, I can't be totally right with this. There's no way every single enemy in Dark Souls 1 doesn't pivot. I mean, Artorias pivots in midair. But here's the fact about Artorias.
That was kind of cool, though.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, let's roll with that. That's badass. But looking at Artorias, he pivots before his strike. Enemies in Dark Souls 2 pivot while attacking. They turn to face you while their weapon is coming down. Artorias pivots, pauses in midair, and that awesome back arch. Your shield's up and you're just, mother, and he's just, your mother isn't here, and crushes you. He's ready, but you can even walk out of the way of him. What happens in Dark Souls 2 with most enemies? You can't actually walk out of the way. And my least favorite enemy, my most hated enemy in that entire game isn't the salamanders. Most people with the pivoting enemy argument will definitely talk about the salamanders. But you can look up almost any clip of those salamanders and see that these things are the grand culprit of why pivoting enemies are a bad idea in this game. Matter of fact, they're just a bad idea in a lot of games where it's skill-based, because it gives the AI a massive unfair advantage. Here's the thing that I was going to say. The spear hollows. The normal undead guys with spears. This doesn't really involve most of the pivoting enemy argument, as so much it involves the fact that they are if you get hit once, you will get hit twice, you might get hit 3 times. They are that kind of enemy. The kind of enemy that if they land one hit on you, the rest of their hits are going to hit. I hate enemies like this. Why? It gives me no chance to recover. That's my personal opinion. But here's my experience with them. Poke. Okay, it's a spear. Poke. Poke. Alright, cool. He didn't hit me. I managed to back off. He missed. But as I go to backstab him or try to hit him through his shield, because I forgot to mention that while he's doing the poke attack, you can't flinch him because his shield's up. Yeah, you can't hurt this guy while he's hitting you. So I try to go around behind him and backstab him. I swing, and I'm like, oh crap, not backstabbing him. Obviously not the backstab animation. I hit his shield, and while I hit his shield, he's just whoop, and just fails to acknowledge that physics exist. It's just ting, whoop, stab, stab. All right, cool. I've been stabbed twice. For no fault of my own, he just turned to face me without following the rules of what your feet have to do to turn. Let me roll out of the way. Roll, stab. Okay, so he hit my foot, so I still take whole damage. Awesome. Let's try this again. Dead. Pivoting enemies. Let me just tone it down for a second. Pivoting enemies are a bad idea. Soul memory, to me, takes a huge chunk out of the fun of a game, because it makes it to where no matter how hard you try in the game, it's all only personal endeavors, and no one will see that. No one can see that you played the game at a low level. Let's just forget the majority of people who may or may not straight up tell me,
really, Jace? Fuck you.
But what about the people who hack the game? What about people who just decide to lower their level and then fight at low levels? You could just do that. No, because that's not part of the game, and I ain't gonna cheat to get part of a game that I like. Right? There's no love in that. If I hacked to go back levels, what does that get me? Nothing. I didn't work for it. I didn't get the chance to come back and wave around my fancy, big, needlessly large rod, to quote a League thing. I didn't get to flop around my big, needlessly large rod and say, check this out, bitches!
Really,
I beat the final boss without leveling up, and now I can come back here and screw you guys with it because I worked for it. I tried to get it. In Dark Souls 1, you could do that. Demon Souls, you could do that. In Dark Souls 2, you can't. Because
seriously, I have 0 gold income. My team is stealing all the camps, so I can't use conservation. And they're bitching at me for making decisions that are desperation-based. Dude, I have 0 fucking gold.
What are you gonna do?
I can't do anything. Like, my team doesn't fight as a team. We get picked off one by one in a 5-man fight.
I know what this video needs to be called on YouTube. It needs to be called "Whiny Bitches Talk About Bitchy Things." We really do need to call it that. So moving on. Here is my big, B Team is a different team than Demon Souls and Dark Souls. And what does B Team do differently? They tried to continue a game that I thought had a wonderful ending, and I'm not against trying to continue Dark Souls, because Dark Souls also holds a very special place in my heart. I have a few thousand hours in that game. Not actually a few thousand, more like 1,000 and a few hundred. I personally probably have some kind of disorder with that game. I think I may, if that game was a woman, I'm pretty sure it would be my waifu right now. And if she denied it, I'd probably have her locked in my basement and strapped to a bed. So here's the thing.
Really? You're gonna blame me for your dumbass decisions? Shut the fuck up, Jace.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me. I was like, I'm sorry. I wasn't. I didn't
No,
know
you're
that.
not.
I didn't think locking Dark Souls waifu in my basement was a bad decision. But oh well. Anyway, so here's the thing. Dark Souls 2 is a fun game, but because it has Dark Souls in the title, hell, if they named the game 2, if they just named the game 2 and gave it a different story setting, same exact story but a different setting, I can guarantee you people would probably really like it, but they would also say it was riding the Dark Souls train. Why on earth is it possible for this game as a Dark Souls sequel to be riding the Dark Souls train?
I can't.
Because
They're
to
gonna
me,
take it.
that's what the game is doing. It takes everything that everyone's loved in Dark Souls 1 and puts it in Dark Souls 2, but also misses quite a few marks. And, I mean, to the team's credit, they did a good job. The game is fun. And they're not the same as Team A. And they also didn't have Miyazaki, the guy who originally made both games. They didn't have him with them. I mean, I don't know how much he wasn't with them. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But as far as I can tell, he wasn't.
Start to a fight.
Point is, I don't want to say anything unfair, and I want to say right off the bat, I have fun ranting. I actually really enjoy overamping myself with this frothing anger that doesn't actually exist. It's loads of fun for me to just yell things that come to mind, and I don't know whether people think it's funny or not, but I find it fun. It is personally entertaining for me to stand up and just really and just drop my opinion like that. I mean, sure, sometimes I don't think of any of my words. Matter of fact, I think about 80% of what I have just said, I didn't even think about. They just came to mind and I said it. I've even missed a few things that I said that I probably don't even know that I missed saying until I probably rehear this. So the point is, I love Dark Souls 2, but it did not have any of the lasting value to me that Dark Souls 1 did. Now, that's probably because I don't want to play it. I mean, I see a bunch of people who are part of the Dark Souls community, and they play it still to this day a lot. And cool, I'm glad they do. But I almost have more fun watching Dark Souls 2 than I did playing it. Actually, I know I do, because I still watch Dark Souls 2 videos, and I still laugh, and I still enjoy the community, but I don't take part in playing the game.
Oh, fuck, we've lost a fucking Nexus Tower.
I just don't find it fun anymore. I have about 100 and some hours into Dark Souls 2, and that's pretty much it. I have bought 2 of the 3 DLCs, and I'm tempted to go back and get the 3rd one because maybe it'll bring some life back into the game for me.
The 3rd one's actually really fucking cool, I can say that much.
As far as I've heard, and I also have the same... I had the same criticism for the DLCs as one of my favorite YouTubers, being VodiVidya, who, stated that the enemies in all 3 DLCs
are kind of the same thing.
Yeah, they're the same deal, but themed. It's like, alright, cool, could I get something new? I'm tired of fighting the same guys. I got that feeling. I haven't beaten any of the DLCs, mind you. And, yeah, I personally think I am bad at Dark Souls. I personally believe I am...
Dude, you one-broed it. You're better than I am.
Well, yes, okay, I'm better than you, but you are a different story. You're not somebody who tries to be good at games because they enjoy them.
I just play them to enjoy them.
Yeah, I like being good at games. Being good at them is part of the fun for me. Being able to do things that makes other people go, whoa, is fun for me. It's like having a talent that nobody else has, except, you know...
people.
It's life wasting and doesn't get me anywhere, and it also doesn't pay the bills unless I'm a YouTube star.
Chunk.
So... the thing is, for me, B-Team, or to be more respectful, Namco Bandai, after Miyazaki left, I feel like Dark Souls 2 took a hit. I still like the game, and I still found it fun, and I got my money's worth. I consider video games, nowadays, the reason why I haven't really gotten any of the new video games, or played any new video games, really, is that every video game, I believe, wholeheartedly...
Are you kidding me?
Should provide you...
fucking kidding me? Oh my god, that is bullshit.
I believe wholeheartedly that every video game that I purchase should be worth at least 1
Or
hour,
per dollar? Yeah, I got the same view.
$1 that I spend on a video game. If a video game cannot provide me the amount of dollars I spent in singular hours of gameplay time, it was not worth the money. Now, I feel like this may almost be an unfair judgment when you look at things, say, like movies, which are like 2 to 3 hours long, and they could entertain you for that long, but then in the end, they weren't that good. But if you look at a video game, these are things that you should be able to sit down and enjoy once, twice, 3 times. I consider Last of Us, just to kind of branch off into a different saying real quick, I say Last of Us and Dark Souls, to me, are of the same value. Because Dark Souls wasn't so much a story experience as much as it was, here, player, do what you will with this. As Last of Us was, here, player, experience this incredible story we've crafted for you. Now, sure, I played Last of Us a lot less, but I also played the multiplayer quite a bit. And the multiplayer in Last of Us is fun, just like the multiplayer in Dark Souls is fun, but there's a difference. The multiplayer in Last of Us, or a game like hell, even Destiny,
Oh,
are
right,
just
I can tank this. What am I doing?
are just features to part of the game. They are to help the game continue longevity. But unlike Destiny, to me personally, Last of Us was worth the money after I'd only played it for about 10 hours. Because the story hit home. I loved the story in Last of Us. I personally find the story and the execution of Last of Us to be stupendous. You look at Dark Souls, and they don't have a story that's told to you.
Nope, you gotta find it.
Yep. They have pieces and chunks of the story in the items. This is a beautifully masterful way of telling a grand story without causing the player any cutscene grief. This being said, you have to dig for all the lore and all the things that you know about the game. Or just look to the environment. The environment even tells a beautiful story. Or a disgusting one if you're looking at Blighttown.
Oh, Blighttown. Fuck
And
you, Blighttown.
Last of Us doesn't have that. They don't have this, here, player, you can find the story for yourself. But they do have little collectibles that tell little things and add to the world that you already know about. But the way they did a story is different than the way Dark Souls did. But to me, it almost feels like Dark Souls 2 tried to be both. It feels like Dark Souls 2 tried to give the amazing character that Dark Souls 1 had with a Last of Us execution where all these people existed that you want to know more about but they're not around. And to me, they didn't do it very well. It didn't feel like I was wanting character. It felt more like I wanted that next great sword. Dark Souls went from this heart-wrenching, oh, kind of story and this hopelessness that I wanted to overcome so that all this terrible shit would stop happening. That was my experience.
Perfect.
But in Dark Souls 2, I had this feeling by the time I went from the start of the game, I was like,
Assassin's
yeah,
Edge up!
Let's go! Let's do this! Yeah! I'm ready for another Souls game! I'm ready to have this incredible experience again! And that may have been my fault. I thought about having my Dark Souls experience with the sequel. But then I get to the end of the game, and I kid you not, my experience went from, yeah, let's do this too. Get the hell out of my way, you giant pile of sludge and skulls. I just want to see what's on this throne. I didn't care anymore. By the time I got to the end, I think the coolest area had already passed, the Dragon's Eyrie. I mean, holy hell, I cannot state enough how cool that place is. B-Team, that's me clapping. Bra fucking vo. That is an amazing area. I love it. Also, the shrine. I forget what it was called.
The Shrine of Amana?
Yeah, I thought it was Amana. I love the Shrine of Amana. It's a very pretty place. And the fact that a lot of enemies are hidden underwater, and that little thing you can learn if you just pay attention and talk to the little singing girls, that the hollows in that area don't attack you if there's fireflies around them, as well as the fireflies show you where they are. There's a lot of great things in Dark Souls 2. Again, I want to state that I have fun raging and frothing at the mouth. But I do also want to say that, yes, it's a good game. It is a good game. It's a lot better than a lot of games you can buy out there.
Yeah.
Here's the downside. I don't like it nearly as much as Dark Souls 1, but that is my opinion. You know what? This is all about opinion. I'm going to be open to you guys. I think that Dark Souls 2 is better than Destiny, and I don't like Destiny. Why? It feels like Halo that you're forced to be online all the time. And there's not enough story for me to enjoy, and it's short, and the DLC feels a bit gimped. That's my opinion on Destiny in short.
I can't blame you.
I could go more into detail on it, but the truth is, I feel like Destiny is a combination of Halo and Borderlands, and instead of meshing them in a blender, they just took two continents and crashed them together, because both of them are enormous franchise names, so they're already pretty solid and set in stone. Put them together, what do you get? You get Destiny. Kind of sloppy, bit of a mess to me. Took a lot of time for them to make it. Love the voice acting. Love a lot about the game. Theme enemies are pretty cool, but it feels like Halo with a different theme. I'm not a fan of it. Matter of fact, I actually like Halo 2 more than I like most of the other Halos. I wish if Halo 2 had more ragdoll, I'd be sold on that. I would actually buy Halo 2 3 times over. I am not a Halo fanboy, though. So moving on. Here's the thing. I am being open about this to Team B.
Hi, guys.
And Team A. I can't wait for Bloodborne because it looks and feels, just from watching trailers, it feels from watching like Demon Souls, which left enough of an impression on me that Dark Souls is now one of my most played games, only beaten by Star Wars Galaxies before the Next Generation patch and Monster Hunter. Both games are really playable to me. Now here's the thing. I am giving everyone here like a huge rundown of my gaming history, but I want to tell you that the only games that I like to play, now that I'm older, I'm like 20 years old, I'm not that old, but I'm old enough to understand what I like in my video games. And I know that I will stay away from video games that I don't like or I think I won't like. I love, to the bottom of my heart, I think any game that is a tactics RPG, some kind of mecha game, like Armored Core, something fast-paced, with pew-pew lasers and woo missiles. Action RPGs. Dragon's Dogma, to this day, is one of my favorite action RPGs in existence. I think it is one of the greatest RPG achievements in the world. Period. I really do feel like the Dragon's Dogma is one of the greatest RPGs ever made, and that comes from having played Dark Souls first. I thought that Dragon's Dogma, when I first saw it coming out, was another let's ride the Dark Souls train, woo-woo, and it wasn't. This is because I am a fanboy of Dark Souls, but I am willing to state flaws that I see in it, whether they're actually there or if they're my opinion. Personally, I think one of the greatest features they had was being able to throw shit at people. It's pretty great. Dung Pie's best item.
Just throw a pile of shit at your enemy. It's perfect.
Yep. So here's the thing. I have branched off into a bunch of games and stated a bunch of random opinions, but I just want to say this right now to go back to the original subject again and again and again because I keep derailing. Demon Souls and Dark Souls were crafted beautifully. I don't want to say masterfully, because truth is I haven't played Demon Souls in a while, and I haven't played Dark Souls in a while. Dark Souls 2 actually made me not want to play any of the other ones aside from Demon Souls. Why? Because Dark Souls 2 made me realize that Dark Souls 1 now has this attached to it. It now has a continuation. The fantasy of Dark Souls 1, whether I like it or not, now has a continuation that turned it into, spoiler alert, spoiler alert to everyone who likes Dragon's Dogma but has not beaten it. Skip ahead. I'll put maybe a link or something.
Game's over. We'll do it in the next one.
Oh, come on! Alright, fine. Point is, A team, beautiful job. B team, good job. Whatever! Let's move on with our lives, but I don't like Dark Souls 2 as much as the other ones. Okay, we're done!